What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I have a special guest for you today. He's a new kid on the block, at least to me. and I really wanted to have him on because I like his energy. I like his channel. I think he's great with his 49er knowledge. Um, I've seen him start to make his rounds around YouTube, and I wanted to have him on before he got too popular and he didn't want to come on my show. So, Rich, welcome to the stream. You guys know him as Celts Chronicles, but nice to have you on the show, and thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you as well, my man. It's good to just continue to chop it up about the 49ers. I appreciate you having me on to the fullest. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing all right. It's really cold over here in New York where I live, and sucks the Niners aren't in the Super Bowl. It's kind of a letdown this weekend. But at the same time, there's a lot of news going on with the 49ers, and I figured we'd get to it before we did some grades on the team. If you want to let people know who you are, what your story is, and where they can find you.
Yeah, no problem, man. My name is Rich. I do a YouTube show on Celts Chronicles. It's all 49ers. I've been a diehard fan my entire life since my first memories. My biggest motivation on starting the channel was just wanting to see that legacy be restored. And, the game is won in the trenches, but it also has a lot to do with the quarterback. So I was all in on Trey Area from the get-go. A couple months before the draft, we went and did it. Never really expected what I was going to do with this channel, but it's continuing to grow. So I enjoy it. But then I also, at the same time, feel obligated to, in a good way, to just continue it, man. So I love to talk 49ers, and, I'm going to just keep it going, see what happens.
It's weird when you have your own channel and you start to get into making content. Sometimes you don't look at other people's channels just because you're kind of swamped in your own thing. But I think you might have jumped into a chat or something on one of my live streams. I don't know exactly what happened. And then someone's like, he has a channel, right? And I'm like, really? So I went over and looked at it, and I'm like, all right, I like this dude's vibe. There's certain people that hold my attention on their channel. I'm not big for like people who have like a gimmick or say, look goofy on camera, but people who just have a way of drawing me in with the way they speak, educated. And it's really about the 49ers. It's like some people, it's like more about them when they're talking. And I kind of get like automatically turned off because I just want to see, are you a 49er fan? Are you going to talk 49er football? Are you passionate? Are you knowledgeable? When all those things are kind of checked off, I'm like, okay, I'm watching this channel. And that's pretty much, I watched yours. I saw that you upgraded some of your stuff on one of your streams. You're like, oh, I did the computer and the MacBook. And I'm like, my man, because I feel like you have to invest in your brand as you get it to grow, just so people know that you care. You know what I mean? And it gives people a better product to watch and look at. And it just, as the natural growth of the channel, that's what you do. Like, if my channel didn't get any views back in the day and I continue to just not have anybody watch, I wouldn't have invested. But as it grows, like, okay, I might have something here. So I see that with you. I am psyched to talk 49ers with you now and in the future. So I can't wait. If you want, we could get into one of the topics that I got here before we do our grades and stuff. There's a lot of coaching news going on. McDaniel is now the coach of the Miami Dolphins, and I think we've lost 6 coaches so far. I'm trying to think of the number. John Embry has joined him down there. Wes Belker is now the receivers coach down in Miami. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on all this kind of coaching turnover. Or is it a bother to you? Is it shock you? Is it give you worry about the upcoming season? Or do you think we're not going to miss a beat?
I think it just leaves. I think when one door closes, another door is going to open. And so with that belief, I feel like John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan just continue to keep leveling up. I keep going back to there have been many a times where I've been frustrated, and hey, I've always had a lot of trust in John Lynch, but I've questioned Kyle Shanahan. Is this a guy who can lead men? That X's and O's are one thing, but to actually lead men is a whole different ball game. So I've been frustrated a few times, but the more I took a step back and thought to myself, like, hey, these guys were rookies coming into these positions. These guys, John Lynch, this is his first GM job. This is Kyle Shanahan's first head coaching job, regardless of how long you've been in the league, whatever other titles that you've had, regardless of who your father is and being a Hall of Famer and all those kind of things. Until you're actually in it, it's going to be a learning process. And I feel like they continue to keep leveling up. And because of them doing that, I feel like they're going to continue to bring in the right guys. I think they're going to continue to put more value in, hey, is this guy a leader of men? That's my hopes, at least. It's more than just X's and O's. And when you bring the right guys in the building, I think those things are huge. I think, like an Anthony Lynn, I think he's going to be much more valuable to the 49ers than just his run scheme. I think just his presence to there's a lot of men that are around each other for a long time. So us fans and us YouTubers and stuff, we can have our opinions and guess this and that. But when you're that close for that long, you want to have somebody who's going to truly care and just bring a certain just element to the game that's more than just X's and O's. So I think the 49ers are going to continue to keep doing that. I heard rumors about Vic Fangio. I think he's another great presence of a leader. Anthony Lynn. I heard some rumors about possibly Joe Judge, for the special teams. I don't know. I haven't really done too much research on Joe Judge, so I don't know what kind of guy he is, but I like to see people's backgrounds and, what they're about, man. I think it really matters what you do off the field as well.
I think Judge might have actually recently gone back to the Patriots. I think he was their whatever coordinator, special teams or something. I don't know exactly if it was him. I might be talking about somebody completely different, but yeah, I had that as one of my topics actually about them bringing in, looking at Vic Fangio. I think it's pretty safe to assume that D'Amico's probably going to get a head coaching job after this coming season, which is great for him. But for us, it's another coach missing and leaving. And if Vic comes in the role that they say, which is kind of just like an executive role, kind of behind the scenes, and then they can transition to him being the defensive coordinator, dude, that's huge because Vic is one of the best defensive coordinators in the league. He was here, he was here during the Harbaugh era. So
I loved it.
I like his curmudgeon-y, crusty old Italian.
Yeah,
I love it. I love that Godfather mentality with defense and stuff. So I'm hyped on that. Yeah, they're losing a lot of coaches right now, but you're right. If you're going to bring in people, you got to bring in people that players respect. Like you said, it's a bunch of dudes around each other for a bunch of months in a row. And you need people that can somehow take a bunch of different personalities and different work ethics and different place, talent levels. And I have them all kind of buy into the same thing. And someone like Anthony Lynn, dude, I don't know if you watched some of that one video that they had from him in the locker room. He did some speech after the game, super emotional. Man, I would follow that dude. When a coach respects his players, players respect the coach. It's like some coaches think they're better than others. That's sometimes what my issue is with Kyle. Sometimes he's he comes off a little arrogant, a little cocky, especially when you hear the rumor of, the conversation he had with Brady, and Brady kind of didn't want to come here with Kyle's response, or Kyle didn't want Brady here because of Brady's response to a certain question. And I'm just like, ooh, sometimes it gets on my nerves a little bit. So, but if Kyle left this team tomorrow and wasn't the coach, teams would be lining up immediately to get him. So, and when I look at Kyle, that Andy Reid comparison is definitely there. He still hasn't quite got that clutch gene in him yet, where he makes good decisions down the stretch in a game. And I feel like he's on the cusp. And I think we got the right quarterback to do it. So I'm looking forward to next year. It'd be nice to kind of take a little breather with the offseason and, the draft and all that stuff and get us kind of rejuvenated. Because after the season, I was kind of really down and stuff. So, but yeah. Go ahead.
I think another factor too is one of the first things that I thought about whenever coaches go somewhere else, I'm like, we must be doing something right. Once people start wanting your coaches, it's like, that's like a compliment. You know what I'm saying? So I look at it that way as well. And another thing to Anthony Lynn, I was doing a little research and he had a traumatic experience with the car accident. I don't know all the details, but he was close to death. And when you face those kind of things, it changes you as a man, and a lot of times in a good way. It just makes you just truly appreciate what you got and then try to make every moment count. I don't know. It seems like that's what's happened with him on top of who he already is. And I could kind of vouch for it because, I faced similar situations numerous times, and it definitely has an impact on your character. Your character, I always like to choose character over talent every day. And once upon a time, I was kind of reckless and, I didn't used to always speak this way. And, there was a lot of, not negativity, but a lot of bad words coming out of my mouth. And I would not make a lot of sense until, some traumatic things kind of happened in my life. And it really, made me learn, it really helped me to just want to grow and speak, just be better regardless. So
I feel like trials and tribulations can do two things. They can make us be bitter and angry and worse. And then in some cases, like I know I myself, I've dealt with things, whether it's matters of the heart, women and stuff, bad experiences, you get hurt, you get cheated on. And, we learn, we become calloused, and we learn lessons, and we learn how to deal with pain and rejection and hard times. And I think all of us can always do well with the things that we've gone through, and try to impart knowledge on people that maybe haven't gone through the yet, so that they can avoid certain pitfalls and perils and stuff like that. And
absolutely.
him being as real as he is as a coach about his experiences and the kind of man he really is, that kind of ingratiates himself to a bunch of different men, because there's different personalities. I know I work with people. There's some people you love working with, and there's people you want to choke out. You know what I mean? And you got to have a leader that can kind of take all of you and be like, listen, you just focus on this. Don't worry about this. I'll manage him. We'll move him over there. And you become one cohesive group. So that's what it looks like they're trying to do with him. And I'm stoked. When I heard that he was coming over, I was like, are they really serious? That dude's like a legitimate, real good coach. So awesome for Kyle and John.
Absolutely, man.
I don't know if you've been paying attention to the these Brady rumors, man. People are tripping. He followed the Niners on some social media. I don't know if it was Twitter and Instagram or something stupid. And there's been a lot of talk that, what would you do? Would you bring Brady in? Would you have Trey sit another year? And there's just been Brady talk again, silliness in the offseason. What do you think about all this ridiculousness, man?
My very first reaction was, I think it started before the Tom Brady rumors. I think it's kind of goes hand in hand with Brady, Aaron Rodgers. My first initial reaction was just, I don't want an Aaron Rodgers, no Tom Brady, not even a Patrick Mahomes. You could send over Josh Allen. I don't care what quarterback it is. I want to see a solid foundation on rock. I don't want no more quicksand. And is it going to be Jimmy? Is it going to be Trey? Is it going to be just the back and forth and the wishy-washiness of, just the whole thing is, I just want it to be not even what I want it to be. I think it's the smart thing to do is to, you went out and drafted this guy. You went out and spent all these picks, and that would, not just it almost admitting that you were wrong to go get another guy. It's kind of just, I think it just takes a step back and, it's kind of, it's just wishy-washy to me. That's the best way I could say it. And then on the flip side, I started really, really brainstorming Tom Brady coming to the Niners. I instead of just, letting my pride just kind of dictate how I'm thinking about it, I kind of really started thinking about it. Tom coming over, and I was like, hey, man, that would be crazy if he did come over and deliver a Super Bowl and take off, and so I started to get enticed just a little bit. And then I pulled it back and was like, it is Trey area. For me personally, it's been Trey, it's been Trey the whole entire time. I did get impatient in the beginning of the season and wanted to see him right away. I think it probably was a smarter move to chill out on him and, kind of not only him to sit back and learn from Jimmy Garoppolo, the ins and the outs and how to be an NFL, how to just be in the NFL. But, there's a lot that these guys go through as far as finding a place to live, just getting accustomed to the culture of, being in the Bay Area, so the more I thought about it, I was like, it's a good thing. I feel like looking back on it now, like, hey, you know what? I feel like this is going to set up for success for Trey Lance, but I feel like it would be a failure to bring in somebody else.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
think you undermine his confidence, honestly. Like, what are you trying? What message are you trying to send? Are we going for it 1 year and then going to blow it up the next, or are we looking for the long term? I believe in the long game. I'm like you. I kind of got enticed for a second. I'm like, oh, it's Tom Brady, and then I was quickly like, nah, no, I want
Nope.
the kid. I want the kid. I want to see what he can do. I have
Yeah.
a lot of confidence in him. Is he going to struggle at times next year? Yes. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, that happens. He's a young guy. I was reading something somewhere where I don't know who exactly what it was, if it was a YouTuber or a podcaster about how you bring Trey along slowly. You don't put a lot on his plate early in the season next year. You kind of use the running game as kind of like your gateway drug, and eventually you start to put more and more on him as the season goes on. And I think that's the best way to do it. Listen, people have to understand this and not take this as a hit on Jimmy. Jimmy was very limited what he could do physically, and he just was limited within his own ability. And Kyle Shanahan got the most out of him as he was going to get out of Jimmy Garoppolo. And at times it looked really good, and Jimmy did really well. So you take a guy who has more physical talent with a higher ceiling. He's more of an athlete. And I think the sky's the limit to him. I don't think there's anything that he can't do. I preach patience next year for a little bit when the season first starts. He seems like a slow starter sometimes, so like got to give a kid a chance. But I think I feel a lot like this is a little bit of the Josh Allen situation where, all of a sudden he's going to take a step, maybe his second year, and all of a sudden you're like, damn, oh wow, he's really that good. So I think people need to be patient, but I'm looking forward to seeing him. I just think bringing in a guy like Brady, as great as that would be for 1 year, it just undermines the whole situation. Plus, we have so many financial responsibilities that we have going into this offseason. We don't have a lot of money. How are we going to afford all this? Like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make financial sense. It doesn't make a team building sense. I don't know. It's just at the offseason. That's one thing I hate about the offseason. I wish we could have made it to the Super Bowl so that we were talking about us in the Super Bowl. It's just the offseason is just so full of trash, man. It's so much garbage talk. I hate it. It
Man,
gives. Go ahead.
man, I was so once I seen the fight of our team, I really, really thought, man, hey, we could pull it out and we could win a Super Bowl.
So did
But
I.
before that, before, going on the run and stuff, and even in the beginning of the season, I was preaching, hey, man, there's only been 3 quarterbacks in NFL history who have ever lost Super Bowls and come back to win Super Bowls. That's Lynn Dawson, Bob Greasy, and John Elway. Garoppolo will not be number 4. Those guys are Hall of Famers, da. I was going in on it, and so my true nature was like, hey, I knew if we came up short, we knew what it was going to be. We knew what's respect to him, his leadership. One thing I do want to say about Garoppolo is he could have chose to be super bitter about Trey, and he did handle that very, very well.
Did.
But at the same time, he's in a box. He's very, very good at inside of his box of what he does. But like you said, he's limited. You know, I had a nickname for him and used to call him Jimmy 22, just based off of where I thought he was ranked. You know, that was a little harsh. He's probably a little bit better than 22. But, with just how great the 49ers team is, it just made me just feel like it's a shame. It's a shame, that we didn't have somebody, you know what I'm saying, that just played the quarterback position a little bit better. People like to say, hey, he's the one that pulled us from the gutter. But the way I seen it was, it feels like we were that close of coming out of the gutter regardless of Jimmy Garoppolo. And he just so happened to come when he came. And it is what it is. I'm glad to see that we did the right thing. We went and drafted Trey Lance. And I can't wait to see him, man. I'm just super excited, that we're going to be on level foundation for sure with Trey Lance. I think the first comparison that I made of Trey Lance back in last February was Stephen Curry. I started kind of almost envisioning how this dude on and off the field can really have a tremendous impact. We're going to have to wait and see what he does on the field. But it just kept it reminded me of when Steph Curry took the shot versus he took a shot and Steve Kerr's holding his head like, no, before Steph got real big and it goes in. And Steve Kerr learned, hey, I got to back off of this guy. Part of me coaching this, he's a superstar. He turned that organization from, how many ever million to how many ever billion. But that's a lot of what he did off of the court as well, man. And, I know I'm kind of getting off topic and into basketball and getting to basketball and stuff. But that was my very first feeling about just wanting to go get Trey Lance. He's got that chip on his heart. And sometimes that's half of the battle is like, how bad do you want it? Are you going to be obsessed with continuing to grow? And I think he has it for sure, man.
Speaking of Trey Lance, Kim Ferrison said it best. Hey, I'm a big Joe Montana fan, okay? But he's right. Joe Montana needs to stay off his own supply. Bro, okay, so I know you've seen this because you seem like a smart dude who pays attention. So Steve's saying pro Trey. And Joe Montana is on this trip. I don't know if it's because he's trying to push that documentary that just came out, which I'm almost done with, which is fantastic. The Cool Under Pressure. But, bro, to say that he's not ready, how do you know this? Like, where does this information come from? I love Joe to death. He's my favorite 49er player. Him and Jerry Rice will always be my two favorites. But in this instance, I think Joe needs to take a back seat and stop talking because nobody knows what Trey's going to be. He's played 2 games. How do we know he's not ready? I feel like only the people that know that are in the building, and it'll be dictated by what they do in free agency and the draft. If they bring in someone who they think is a threat to him as a starter, then we know he isn't ready. But if we get a backup that is a true backup, then we know, like, okay, this is Trey's team. But I'm not listening to Steve or Joe right now, especially Joe. What do you think about all that?
I'd like to think that, I put up a tweet earlier, so I'm right there with Kim. I think I sent something to Jesse Naylor, man. I said basically what Kim had said. I think he invested. I think it's called Cal Leva or something like that. Whatever it was, he invested. In the industry. In the excuse me. But I was like, hey, Joe looks like he might be lost in a cloud right now. Now I started thinking about it more and more and was like, I started joking a little bit on Twitter, maybe this is his PTSD coming back from Steve Young and the transition that happened. And then, like you said, like who's to know, who's ready? It's like, excuse me. I can sit here and say, hey, I believe he's ready. Joe could say he's not ready. I mean, the only thing that's ever going to, really show who's ready and who isn't is when you play on the field, man. We can all make our assumptions and predictions, but I like to believe that Trey Lance stays ready. so he don't ever got to get ready. And I feel like Trey Lance is that guy who's not gonna just go on vacation in the summertime. I feel like he loves football, and that's part of it. You could be talented, you could do all these things, but if you truly love football and you truly want to be a winner, in which all the games that he's ever played, besides the Cardinals, I believe he's won, every game. He's a winner, man. He is a winner and he is a leader on and off the field, and he's going to continue to get better. I just pray for health.
Yep.
Hopefully, and Montana. It's oh yeah. Another thing that I did say about Montana, maybe he's not just wanting attention, but hey, maybe he's using some reverse psychology and trying to drive Trey a little bit more. Who knows?
Listen, I'm the biggest Montana fan there is. Kim in the comments didn't seem like that was the case, saying that like Joe likes noodle arm quarterbacks. Listen, Joe's my favorite 49er, and then Jerry Rice is right behind him. But I just feel like some of these guys are just a little bit out of touch. I don't think Joe follows the game that much, because he made some comments about Jimmy not too long ago that said that Jimmy probably wasn't the guy. So I don't know how far he pays attention to this team, and really, who cares what they think? I saw an interview with Trey. He seems like he's ready. He talked about taking like a small little bit of time vacation. They're taking an off, and that him and Kyle really have a good relationship as far as watching film and everything. He says that he likes to have a notepad anytime someone speaks, like Mike McDaniel, because he feels like he's missing something if he's not writing it down. That's exactly what you want to hear.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Larry Kruger. He's from KNBR 680. Larry Kruger is a big proponent on guys that are classroom junkies. And that was one of his biggest things that he loved about Trey is a film junkie. So everybody just needs to step off their pulpit and their soapbox and let the offseason kind of just do its thing. And we'll worry about all this when we get to freaking July or even before that. But everybody, like right now, there's so much no news that people are just speaking out of their rear ends. So I really don't hold, even what my man Joe Montana says, I don't bring any attention to it.
Yeah, half of me says like, "Oh man, here we go with all this stuff," and then the half of me is kind of like, "Hey, enjoy the ride. It doesn't stop." It's like I mean, just in the past week or so, it's Tom Brady, Joe Montana. I'm pretty sure we're going to be hearing from Steve Young real soon here. Jerry Rice. It's hey man, it's always a ride with the 49ers, and I love it, man. Once I kind of, once I get over any little frustrations or whatever, once I really just zoom out and look at everything from a big picture, I'm like, it's enjoyable, to be honest.
Hey, at least I look at it like this. At least there's a conversation around us, and we're not like a Jacksonville Jaguars or a team that nobody cares about. We're still the 49ers. We've still been, I think, in 10 years, we've been to 5 conference championship games.
Yep.
Around that. So listen, we might not have won the Super Bowl the 2 times we were there, but still, I mean, the Niners, I feel this is the closest that they are to staying and having prolonged success. I feel like their current regime is giving us the closest thing to prolonged success. I feel like we have a really good core of players on this team. I mean, you look at, Kittle and Debo and Ayuk and Elijah Mitchell, Trey, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa. I mean, there's Eric Armstead. I know a lot of people aren't big Armstead fans, but Azeez Al-Shaair looks like a good player. I mean, I just think people got to appreciate what we got going on right now, and that we're in a window and we have a chance to compete right now, because those windows open and close really fast. So everybody needs to step back for a bit and enjoy, like you said, enjoy the ride, because, dude, we were 2 minutes away from being in the Super Bowl this year. 2.
Hey, we are blessed as fans.
We are blessed.
I mean, we are I meant to ask you a few times where you're from, and I mean, look, you're in New York.
Yeah, upstate New York, Rochester.
I did not understand how worldwide the 49ers were until last year. Was the first time I ever joined a few Facebook groups. And I was like, holy crap, man, hey, I could go chop it up about my 49ers, in all
Yeah.
these groups. I didn't even know they existed. I was rarely on social media, period, a year ago. Rarely ever. And so I asked a question one day, hey, where's everybody from? And I mean, it's in Australia, um, United Kingdom, it's over there in the Fijis. I mean, hey, we're worldwide, man. I was like, dude, this is the coolest thing ever. I thought it was just like I said before in the Bay Area. I thought it was like, so it's super cool, man, to be to like I said, it was almost surreal being from I'm born and raised in the Bay Area my whole entire life. So just to come to find out that it's really that big, I was like, hey, good job, Joe Montana and Jerry Rice and Rodney Lott and Steve Young, because y'all made it explode, so.
We're a pretty lucky fan base as far as the great players that have come through. One of the great players that has come through who just got recently named as a finalist for the Hall of Fame is Bryant Young.
Yep.
I know you know who he is. He is the 49ers all-time sack leader with 89 and a half sacks, four-time Pro Bowler, and was a first-team All-Pro in 96, and a world champion in the 94-95 season, the last time we won, of course. I was a freshman in high school. It was a long time ago. But I'm so happy for him. I know a lot of people are bummed about Patrick Willis. I'm not in that group. I'm okay either way if Patrick Willis doesn't get in. And people are like, why? I'm like, because the career was so short. You know what I mean? It was such a small windowed career. Whereas a guy like Bryant Young, he played a full career, 89 and a half sacks for a defensive tackle. That is insane.
Come on. Hey, he was a true leader. I mean,
Especially with
it's
that
just,
injury that he had too. You know what I'm talking about.
yeah, hey, it's just remarkable, that he was able to get it done. I don't believe a quarterback's ever won it in their rookie year, but he was a rookie. I believe it was Rodney Lott in '81. He was a rookie who won his rookie year a Super Bowl, and then Bryant Young was the other guy who was able to win a Super Bowl in his rookie year. So he was just a true leader off the field as well, man. He's a super good dude.
Yeah.
And congratulations to Bryant Young for sure, man. It's like, hey, I love that dude. Just he was a force. He was a force, and to a lot of times you get guys, who are defensive tackle or defensive linemen, and a lot of times, they got a certain ego and a certain personality about him, but he's just like one of the more humblest dudes, and it kind of makes me think about Reggie White as well, just monsters on the field, and super super kind off the field. So congrats to him for sure.
And I would say that no player deserved to wear his 97 until we drafted Bosa. I mean, that's just nobody deserves to wear 97, but Bosa definitely is that special of a player where I could say, yes, he deserves 97. But until he was drafted, I would say that jersey number, since we can't retire that many jersey numbers anymore with the 49ers, because you have so many, I'm glad I never wanted anybody else to wear it. So I'm so happy. It's just so nice that Niners are so represented in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know about your team, young people who've only liked the Niners since 2000, whatever, do your due diligence with this team, do your homework, look things up, and you'll appreciate just how great of a franchise this team has been since probably my year. I was born in 79 and Montana was drafted in 79. So we're talking a 40-year rich history of, 5 Super Bowl championships, and just the Niners are good for almost like most of my first 20 years of my life. They've been on and off the last other 20, but it's cool to have a team that the media talks about and they can't avoid, like, especially with a guy like Debo. You can try to ignore the 49ers and not give them awards that they deserve, but they're still being talked about. And that's all you can really ask for.
Absolutely, man. We are miles away from Jim Drunkenmiller's and you know, those days, you know, it feels like, you know, there was a good portion in the early 2000s or even past that where I think I've like accidentally blacked it all out,
Me
man.
too.
It's a, you know, but I do like to go back, especially in the off season. I did it a little bit last year, but I was so fixed on getting Trey Lance, I didn't do it as
Me
much
too.
as I wanted to.
Me too.
But I love to reminisce in the off season. I love to do top fives on the greatest running backs, you know, top five quarterbacks, top five all time play. You know, I love those kind of conversations with fans and just the history of it. It just, you know, we've had so many great guys, and yeah, man. So it's fun, man. I'm gonna definitely be doing some stuff like that this off season, just to. And I know a certain bit. There's a large part of positivity that comes from it. You know, just remembering and reminiscing on all the great celebration dances, and you know, yeah, it's cool, man. I can't wait to dive into this off season. It's gonna be kind of like my first, you know, as far as being a YouTuber and stuff. So I'm excited, man.
And I'm always down to do stuff too. So
I
I know
it,
there's other YouTubers that are gonna, you know, I see you popping up. Like I said, I've seen you pop up a little bit here and there recently, and I'm like, someone's getting hot. So
hey
I might
man,
not be able. Go
hey,
ahead.
I'm never my bad to cut you off.
Oh, sorry.
I'm never that kind of guy that's gonna be like,
You're not gonna forget about me.
heck, heck nah, bro. It's hey, I'm built different. You know, I'm just
Appreciate that.
you know, I'm not conceited. So I don't want to start like kind of complimenting myself, but I am definitely a loyal dude. I try to, you know, inspire if I can. I try to just be a decent guy, man. You know, that's just, you know, I'm a father, I'm a husband. You know,
Nice.
I wasn't always this way. Once upon a time, you know, I was off the hook, but you know, I've been able to be blessed enough to come out from the gutter, and so I just try to give back and be humble, man, for sure.
I think with life in general, we all kind of get to a certain point where we start, I don't know, things start to click. I know with me, and I'm not trying to get off topic and talk about my story. I'm just saying, like, it just things happen in life where you just kind of wake up one day and you're like, okay, I got to get crap together.
Yep.
Um, I can't let a old relationship or an old friendship or something that happened completely just tell the whole story of my life and never kind of like readjust, refocus, and get back on the horse, so to speak.
Yep.
I don't have like a really bad past as far as like drugs or, you know, violence or anything, but I've had some issues with relationships that have really put me in a really bad mental place where I was not a really cool dude to be around. I was kind of weird and people thought I was a little off kilter and stuff. And I made a decision to like not let that stuff define me anymore. You know, taking years to get over like a relationship and staying stuck on a girl for the longest, you know, like stuff like that. It's so embarrassing. Like you look back and you're like cringe and like, how was I like that? Because
Yeah.
I don't even, dude, if I don't get the energy that someone like wants anything to do with my whole, like everything about me, I immediately turn myself off and I'm gone. Like I'm all about what serves me. And if it doesn't serve me, and I don't mean that like in a physical way, I mean like
Yeah.
in general terms, we grow as people. That's just what happens. And so you either, Kyle Shanahan always says, you either get better, stay the same, or get worse, or whatever the saying is. And I think
Hey,
that goes with life too.
hey, I don't know why. I just heard Rafiki in my head from Lion King. You know, there's so many great quotes, but that's the one that came to me. Hey, it's like, you know, there's going to be stuff that hurts you, man, and you're either going to learn from it or run from it, you know? And
Definitely.
sometimes in life, you go through things to where it makes you and it breaks you, and it
Yep.
makes you and it breaks you. You know, hey, man, I'm right there with you, man. You know, I've been a super loyal dude and faithful dude my entire life, man. You know, regardless of my appearance, people can have their perception of who I might be and what I might do. But man, I'm super faithful, you know, on my channel as a fan and in real life, man.
Yep.
Like real talk. I've been, you know, I just am who I am, man. You know, I'm a sweetheart and I'm a good dude, bro. And I just wish nothing for the best, but for everybody. You know what I'm saying? And so I definitely never have a problem with talking about personal stuff.
Me either.
I always accidentally do it on my own channel. Every time I'll wind up talking about something that has to do with life or my belief and my faith, and so I appreciate it, man, for sure. You know, my daughter, she actually had a liver transplant 10 years ago when she was seven months old.
Wow.
And it's kind of crazy because on her transplant birthday, like that was the day where I was going to go on the Cone phone and talk about Trey Lance's pro day. And so I woke up real early that morning, and it was the first time where I dug deep on Trey Lance. And then come to find out, Trey Lance, and this is on her liver transplant birthday. It's kind of crazy how things work. But I find out, hey, this young kid at 19 was already going to children's hospitals, Trey Lance. He's already holding Bible studies for the youth during the whole pandemic. So it's just,
I
it
did
was
not
just,
know that.
yeah, hey, man, he's
That's
been
awesome.
he's been a youth leader for I don't know how many years, but just it's like he's already doing those things. And I'm just like, man, when I grow up, I want to be like that dude, So I'm the kind of guy where it's like I want to see that example come to the Bay Area because there's going to be 5 million kids. They have so much easy access to find out about these guys nowadays that there's going to be a tremendous amount of people that's going to know what these guys are about. And I'm like, I'm big on just watching a positive community grow, man. So, I've seen what Steph Curry has done, and so I'm just juiced up about it, man. Real talk, my bad to get off topic.
No problem. It's the YouTube platform. If you don't like it, there's other channels you can watch. That's just how it works.
Yes, sir.
It's the off season too, people. So relax.
Yes,
Not that
sir.
anybody's saying anything in the comments because most of my viewers are pretty awesome individuals. So, um, before we get into our grades, we're just going to kind of be off the cuff. I didn't look anything up or anything. I'm just, honest. What do you think? B, C, D, E, F, whatever. There was the report that 49ers had a combined total 0 votes for Offensive Player of the Year and Comeback Player of the Year for Debo and Nick Bosa, which I think is a travesty. And I also think it's a motivating factor going into the next season. What do you think about that?
I feel exactly. I don't know. I almost get excited when some of these things happen.
Me too.
Like, in a selfish way, I was kind of like, man, maybe Nick Bosa will be a little cheaper now. Like he didn't get an all pro. I don't know. And then I was like, hey, man, if they don't have a chip on their heart, and I stole that from Elijah Mitchell. I was reading something about Elijah Mitchell, and someone asked about him having a chip on his shoulder. But I want to give the proper props to where I got that from. He said, hey, someone could take that chip off your shoulder. So I put a chip on my heart because no one ain't taking that out off of there. So I feel like, hey, if that doesn't put a chip on Nick Bosa's heart and a chip on Debo's, which I believe they're already wired to where they go full throttle, man, they give it all. They give it everything they got. And sometimes, that's why we see injuries as well. But
Agreed.
I kind of look at it like, hey, that's a plus. That's a plus that, it's like you said, it's a travesty as well. It's like, come on now. Like, are you serious? This man just, he tore his ACL, if I'm correct, and then come back and be one of the most dominant pass rushers. He had, I believe, 23 tackles for loss, 15 and a half sacks. And that's not even including all the pressures. I mean, he is a force to be reckoned with, Nick Bosa and Debo Samuel. When you start getting into the territory of doing something that's never been done in NFL history, in the whole entire history of the NFL, and you return and you have 8 rushing touchdowns as a wide receiver, that's special. That is special, regardless of, because I started thinking today, like, hey, if Mostert doesn't go down, maybe Debo doesn't even get none of these opportunities. But regardless of how it happens, it happened. It's like, I think that might have been the first rushing touchdown in history in the 49ers playoff history that Debo got, you know, for rushing for a wide receiver. So, I mean, when you get in the territory of starting to do stuff that's never been done, it's like, you know, it's a shame when it's not recognized, you know, as it probably should be. But, you know, it is what it is. You know, those guys, I just hope we get to continue to see them do it year in and year out. You know, that's my biggest thing.
The thing too is like they just come off as two guys that really care.
Yeah.
And I being an East Coaster, I definitely think there's a bias, especially if you have people who vote that are from the East Coast. I just don't think they watch the games. Even some of the sports reporting they seem to always give the Niners kind of the backdoor treatment unless they like really, play well. And guys like Debo, most of the times the Niners get a little bit of attention, but not the attention you'd like to see a team get who's had a successful season. So it's part of just the course of being a West Coast team and maybe not having the eyes on you, say like a Dallas Cowboys or a New England Patriots, the same old, same old. But
Yeah.
you know what, man? I'm the type of person who's like, let us be ignored and let us come back next year with even more piss and vinegar and punch people in the mouth and maybe win a championship. And I don't care if people care about who we are. You know what I mean? I feel like if we win the Lombardi, all the attention will come. So part of me doesn't care as a fan, but I know as a player, I'd be hot and I would use it as extra motivation. Kind of like Michael Jordan always used every slight that someone gave him to go drop 60 points on their head. So I don't know. It depends on how you're wired. I just hope the 49ers, like everybody gets their rest this offseason. Everybody does, stays out of trouble. We have a good draft, good free agency, and we come back better than ever next year for sure.
Hey, props to the 49ers too. That's one big thing I've that goes unnoticed too. Like we did not have an unnecessary drama.
No.
If I remember correct, and it feels like, something happens almost every year to every team, even if it's, so hey, props to us, for keeping it clean on that front for sure.
So I wanted to transition to grades, and it's not something we have to spend a lot of time on, but because we're already at almost 50 minutes.
Hey, this is exciting. This is my first time ever doing any kind of grades, man. So it's a little different for me. So we'll see where it goes.
So I figure we start at the most important position on the field, quarterback. You are my guest, so I will let you go first. What was your grade for the 49ers at the quarterback position?
Man, I kind of, I got a C. I got a C right here, and then next to it, I got a C minus, and then next to it, I got a D plus. I didn't know which one to pick. I look at it kind of like, when you have 20 touchdowns and 12 picks, and that's Jimmy Garoppolo. That's not including what Trey Lance did. I didn't really write anything down about what Trey Lance did, but when you have a Debo Samuel, a Brandon Ayuk, a George Kittle, an Elijah Mitchell, a Trent Williams, when you have all that on your team and you muster up 20 touchdowns and 12 interceptions, it's very easy to see where the weak link is. And, it is what it is. He's very good at his quick release. And, there was a lot of yak. Debo, what a heck of a season, man. But he's in a box. He's limited. And it just proved once again this year of, when teams are able to zero in on him, you have to rely on the run. You have to rely on the defense. Kyle Shanahan has to try to figure other ways out. And you could just see how it kind of discombobulates the entire game. Even games that we win, I felt like we should have dominated. Games that we lost, I felt like we could have barely won. And there's so many layers to the trickle effect and to the domino effect of what a weak link can create, the ripple effect. And, so I circled a C minus, regardless of any stats, regardless of any, regardless of any positives. But I will say, great job for how he handled Trey Lance coming in. I will say that. He seemed to be a, a well-liked dude who kept a lot of unity in that building. So, props to him for that. But, on the field football play, I put a C minus.
I went C plus in my brain because of Trey. The plus is Trey. The C is Jimmy. Jimmy, to me, and it's not a personal thing. I think so many people in this, like Jimmy stands, or these people that love Jimmy and hate when people talk bad about him, watch the games. Watch the games.
Yeah.
I don't understand where this love affair comes from. Like, yes, he's a solid guy. Yes, he's accurate in the short to intermediate. And he's probably knew the playbook best this year, and he was probably the best guy to lead the team. That being said, there's so many caveats with him about this, that, and the other, when people just need to look at themselves in the mirror and be like, listen, this dude limits this offense so badly.
Yep.
You have Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle to throw to. Like you said, 20 touchdowns? Really? That's all you can muster up all year? I mean, this team, people get on Kyle for his inability to coach in the clutch. A lot of that has to do with who his quarterback is and how much his quarterback limits what they can do. Debo Samuel made a point to say the Rams loaded it up on us in the NFC Championship game and they forced us to throw. If that's not an indictment on your quarterback, I don't know what is. And it's not a personal thing. I don't hate the guy. I just think at quarterback, he's just a basic dude who's maybe a top 20 quarterback in the NFL. And go ahead.
I remember how excited I got in the Dallas game in the playoffs when he threw, I don't know what you want to call it, but he threw it to the sideline to Juwan Jennings. And I was so excited like that he threw that pass. But that, to me, taught me once again, just like I shouldn't have been that excited about that throw and about that completion. But I was like, yes, he did it. It took, 4 years, how many ever years, but it was just a really good, it was a short pass, but it was a sideline pass and he zipped it in there. And I was so proud of it, but that was a problem that I was so proud of that, I mean, kind of looking at it in an almost backwards way. So, it is what it is. It looks like it is the end of, that situation. And, it's kind of tough, man. It's kind of tough. It's like, he did some good things, but God, man, I can't remember exactly how I broke it down. I think last year I broke it down. And once I really took a big picture at everything, I was like, man, it feels like we could almost be going back to back to back. Like, I don't know how I actually got there, but I was like, man, if we had a top five, we could potentially be going back to back to back right now. And it is what it is. I think, people like to say the football gods, or there's only one God that I believe in, but I will say I feel like it's kind of waiting for Trey Lance for us to get that 6th Super Bowl. And I don't want to pull a LeBron James and say number 7 and 8, but hey, man, I think there's no ceiling to what we're going to see from Trey Lance.
I'm totally excited for him. And yes, like I said, he was the reason why I gave us the C plus. And I feel like a lot of his grades kind of affect my other grades. So,
yep.
Second, let's do running backs. I'll let you go first. I have a decently high grade. It's not an A. I'll let you know right now. But what was your running backs grade?
Yeah, man, I put an A.
Wow.
And I mean, the obvious reasons is Elijah Mitchell. You come in as a rookie and you break a record for the all-time 49ers rookie record. That was, I mean, just tremendous. And there were 2 guys I did probably like 10 mock drafts last year, and there were 2 guys that never left my mock draft, and that was Elijah Mitchell and Trey Lance. And I just knew that we were going to have injury at the running back. It feels like we do every single year.
Yep.
And for him to do what he did as a rookie, I feel like was just tremendous. And then, which really made it an A was Debo Samuel. When you come in and have 8 rushing touchdowns as a wide receiver and, 400 yards, a 6.2 average, Elijah Mitchell as a rookie had almost 5 yards a carry at 4.7. And then I know it's only a tiny piece, but hey, when Jeff Wilson had his, I think, one game, I believe it could have been Atlanta. I think it might be Atlanta where Jeff Wilson Jr., hey man, the one game where he got full all the carries, he shined. So it feels like, running game was definitely a huge reason why we were able to make it as far as we did, like without a doubt.
Running back for me is definitely I didn't give them an A. I gave them like a B minus. The reason for that is just the inability to kind of really not develop anybody past Elijah Mitchell this year. The whole Trey Sermon situation of we don't know why he didn't crack this, be able to play. Jeff Wilson Jr. couldn't stay healthy. Mostert was hurt pretty much right as the season began. And Elijah and Debo took a lot of those carries. I would have gave them an A plus if Elijah could have stayed healthy and maybe we got a little bit more from the other guys, but there was such little contribution past Debo with somebody not named Elijah Mitchell. I mean, what's going on with Trey Sermon? What happened to Jeff Wilson Jr. this year? I mean, just it's cool to have a lot of guys. Jermichael Hasty, he kind of, I don't know about him. The Niners have a lot of good players, and I feel like Elijah Mitchell's definitely the starter in that pack. I definitely think they might hit up the undrafted free agent or a late round pick again at running back, because why not? That's what the Shanahans do. But the reason for B minus is just the fact that they really couldn't develop anybody past Elijah Mitchell to really help Elijah Mitchell not be the bell cow, because, I mean, he had a lot of carries this year. I forgot how many carries he had, if it was close to 300 or something. And he didn't even play a full 17 games. So, again, a B minus is a good grade. It could have been an A plus, but the Niners have some work to do this offseason to try to figure out everything past Elijah, because he's definitely a stud. He needs to work on some things. His vision a little bit sometimes is a little herky jerky. The Niners offensive line had some issues too this year. So, but for the most part, he was the best player on the field running the ball, not named Debo. So, but they could be better, and I think they will be better next year. And you were right. Even when they had all these people in the offseason, I'm like, that's not enough running backs. People are like, oh, they have so many. I'm like, no. And sure enough, they got hurt. Everybody got hurt. So, yeah, B minus for me, only because I want to see more past Elijah.
Yeah, that was a little strange, man, to see. It felt like, Kyle's always done a little running back committee, and that was a little different, in a funny way. I was joking around with somebody. It's almost like Kyle was punishing Mitchell, like, oh, you're healthy? Okay.
Right.
You're getting 25 carries. Like, I'm sure Elijah Mitchell, he seems like the type of dude that's like, hey, man, let me have it, so I'm sure he was happy about it. But in a funny way, it seemed like, it was just a little strange how Kyle didn't use, more of a committee. So that was a little different.
We're going to transition to wide receivers, and I'm going to add tight ends into the mix because there's really only one tight end. The other two didn't do anything this year.
Yeah.
I'll let you go first. I mean, if you have a separate grade for tight ends, you can do it. You can kind of just lump it in with your receivers.
But, hey, you know what? It's kind of funny because that's how I did it. I did the wide receivers and tight ends together. But
nice.
Hey, that was another situation where I put an A. It's kind of, the more I look at it, it's kind of like, how could I have an A there when Jimmy I put a C minus? But I just feel like, just with the season that Debo had, man, I feel like anywhere that he was at, I wanted to give a level up on the grade. Just And Ayuk, I feel like Ayuk had a great season for getting put in the doghouse, which, who really knows what goes on behind the scenes. But I feel like Ayuk is a really good receiver. And when he's given the opportunity, he shines. Uh, man, wonderful. I know the stats don't really pop out on Jawan Jennings, but what an awesome another late round pick that's just been awesome for us. And then the blocking goes unnoticed a lot of times. It feels like all of our wide receivers can block, and is along with Kittle, you know, like, people say, George Kittle had a massively downgraded year, or whatever words I choose to use right now. But hey, a lot of those things go unseen on what they're doing, when it comes to blocks and when it comes to certain other elements of the game, and just even the energy off of, I know I'm kind of getting a little off topic, but, I got an A for it. It might be a little generous, but, I think we got a solid group. And then, even Kyle Juszczyk, had what was it? I believe he had, 30 receptions for 300 yards, and, you know, uh, Jawan Jennings, he only had 24 receptions, but he still had 5 touchdowns. Ayuk, 5 touchdowns. Kittle, 6. Debo, 6. So, great job by them, with having a limited quarterback. So that's why I gave such a high grade there.
I go B plus with the receivers just because of the quarterback affecting them. Just his inability to get certain guys the ball, like Ayuk. I think Ayuk's going to really, really, really be affected in a positive way by Trey Lance, because I think Trey Lance could hit quadrants of the field that Jimmy can't hit in his sleep or his dreams. I just think the inability sometimes with the drops and stuff, the mental issues that some of these receivers have will kind of knock my grade down a little bit. Just the fact that just I wanted to see, I would love to see a 1,000-yard receiver on this team, and again, is a lot of it has to do with the quarterback not being able to throw much past 10 to 12-yard slants and digs and all that stuff. So I could give them an A, but I'll give them that. Hopefully, my next offseason grading will be along the lines. But you're right, they have talent. I mean, I was surprised as you are at Juwan Jennings. I am so stoked about him. I can't wait for him to have an off season and a training camp. And he is a little slow. That's kind of his thing. He's a big guy. He's 6'3", 6'3", 6'4", whatever. He's big dude, big hands, big catch radius, which is something I love. I love big receivers. And it's because a lot of our guys are kind of smallish. So I'm happy with him. Of course, Debo, I'm happy for. Like, how can he not be? He's my next jersey purchase, probably. Once that contract gets signed, that's the only time I ever buy jerseys. When guys get inked to long deals, then I buy the jersey. I will get that, and hopefully, we'll be talking about that, next season. But yeah, B plus. It could be an A minus too. I mean, it's in between a B plus and A minus. I'm kind of like floating in this make believe area, but yeah, it just they can get better, and I think with a better quarterback and a quarterback that can get them the ball, I think they're going to shine next year. So B plus for wide receiver / tight end. And another reason too is that Dwelly did absolutely crap this year. I mean, where was Ross Dwelly?
Yeah, that was surprising for sure.
Again, but I think that has a lot to do with the quarterback. I really do. Yep. Because Trent Sherfield looked like a freaking all-pro wide receiver in training camp because of Trey Lance.
Yep.
And as soon as he played with Jimmy Garoppolo, he was non-existent. So I think quarterback has a lot to do with certain guys. Guys who can get behind the defense, and a quarterback that can get him the ball behind said defense.
But hey, it also affects the defense. It affects every aspect of the game. Yep. It just does. That's I know the game is won and lost in the trenches, but I feel like the Super Bowl victories is like, you could get by and you could get victories and you could get into the playoffs when you got that run game and that defense. But when you need to hit the next level, the quarterback is the missing piece that rises above to make it happen.
Definitely. So I guess we go offensive line next. If you want to go there, I'll let you go.
Yeah, I got here a C, but then at the same time, I feel like I should have made it higher. one of the biggest things that impressed me was Laken Tomlinson not missing a snap. He only gave up, I believe. It's funny how it goes down the line, from Trent Williams to Tomlinson to Mack to Brunskill to Compton, which was, not our original five, but they get the sacks that they had given up. Trent gave up 1, Tomlinson 2, Matt gave up 2, Brunskill gave up 5, and then Compton gave up 4. But as a whole entire team, we gave up 33 sacks. To be honest, I don't even know how good that is, but
Right.
it's not bad. It's not bad. I believe we were able to get 48 sacks, and we only gave up 33. So I mean, they did a really good job. I feel like I could have put it higher than a C for sure, looking at it. And it is what it is, McGlinchey, who knows what's going to happen with him. I never really liked it from the beginning to have a taller guy.
Me too.
I look at someone like I'll save what I'm going to say because it's going to come up, but you would like to have somebody just more stout, more, lower gravity. So, who knows what Aaron Banks could potentially turn into. From some of the places I've heard, he kind of gets tossed around. Hopefully, he comes through and does some good things. Hopefully, Jalen Moore can come through and do some good things. But that's definitely an area where I feel like we need to re-sign Tomlinson and maybe bring another guy in as well.
Yeah, offensive line for me, definitely of the C- variety. Compton, Brunskill, to me, are two of the worst offensive linemen in the league, especially Brunskill. I mean, just damn, dude. That offensive line, the interior of that offensive line, especially from right guard to right tackle, and even the center at sometimes, because Alec Mack is an aging veteran. When they lost that Super Bowl at Kansas City, that was because I think his name is Chris Jones, right? He absolutely ate us up in the middle. Okay. And we haven't gotten any better since that point. We're still the right guard and the right tackle are just abysmal. I'm not a McGlinchey guy either. I don't like big, tall, lanky tackles like that. Mm-hmm. I was surprised by Aaron Banks and how bad he was out physicaled in camp, considering his draft talk was that he was big and girthy and, like this big, like bullish type guard. And he's getting absolutely bamboozled in camp by like taller, lankier defensive linemen, say like Armstead or guys like DJ Jones or Contavious Street, whoever.
Yep.
So yeah, that offensive line, the left tackle and the left guard, beautiful. Anything else? Even Mac, not super impressed, but he's old. So I'm 42, but for an offensive lineman, he's up there. So
yeah.
They definitely need to get better in the offseason. I don't know how they're going to do that. I would definitely re-sign Lincoln Tomlinson over a guy like Jaquiski Tart. I think he's more important. If you got to let guys like Mostert and guys like Verrett walk because they want more money, even though they're hurt all the time, and that means signing a guy like Lincoln Tomlinson, I'd do it in a heartbeat. So C- for me. I want it to get better. They need to get better because that offensive line in the NFC Championship game, those last 2 drives, they got crushed. That pass rush was woo. I'm not a big Jimmy guy. I'm definitely not in his camp as far as like rah, but that dude had no shot. I don't even think Trey Lance could have survived behind that pass rush. I mean, they were in his lap immediately. So C- for the offensive line for sure.
Yep.
I'm trying to think. I guess we could transition over to defensive line. I'd be interesting to hear those grades because mine are pretty high. So take it away.
Well, I got A++ and A++, man. I mean, man, that was definitely, since John Lynch has come here, he has shown that, hey, that's where we're going to invest. I hope we see, now that we have what we have over there, and you're going to have to continue in this new free agency, just the way we are in the world, of the NFL, hopefully we see that same, thing happen on the offensive line. You know, I know it's probably hard, but you got a Nick Bosa, you know, not just Rowe, absolutely great comeback player. It's funny, I did these notes before finding out, you know, that he was going to get no comeback player stuff, but Armstead, you know, DJ Jones, Arden Key, Jordan Willis, Samson Ibukum, just to name a few, man. We had the most tackles for loss in the whole entire NFL at 98. You
That's
know,
beautiful.
we were number one at tackles for a loss. And you know, DJ Jones, he had 2 sacks, but he had 11 tackles for loss. You know, Armstead, 6 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. And of course, Bosa with 23 tackles for loss, 15.5 sacks. I mean, you know, halfway through the season, once everybody kind of found their place, once we knew, okay, D Ford, okay, you know, he ain't there no more. Once everybody, and then we moved Armstead inside. From halfway through the season and on, every single defensive lineman elevated their game. It was, I believe, except for maybe Street. But when you have, you know, 7, 8 different guys who are all elevated, I mean, that's just tremendous. It is incredible. It was fun to watch. You know, I got a little video on YouTube of Arden Key. You know, he didn't get a sack, but he hit who was there? Mills. But I got a little YouTube video of just, you know, Arden Key. I went to the Texans game where Trey Lance played. It was gifted to me. You know, I haven't been to a lot of games, but my wife, you know, she surprised me for Christmas.
Beautiful.
To be,
Good
and
woman.
had
Nice.
zero idea that Trey was going to play in that game, and I'm
Beautiful.
all about Trey Lance, so it kind of happened beautifully. And you know, man, just amazing. A plus plus. I could go on and on and on about all the stats and everything they did, but you know, it was amazing. You know, hey man, hopefully we could keep, you know, the guys we got, you know,
Definitely.
if
Yep.
Bucum, Arden Key, and
Yep.
DJ Jones. You know, I'd like to see us try to find a way to bring old school football back and keep our team together. You know, I know it's
Definitely.
impossible, but I could dream.
You know, other than D4 being a massive disappointment and we not having maybe like another speed rusher, yeah, A plus across the board. I think a lot of guys played past their talent level. I think scheme wise and just because of how much Bosa gets attention, a lot of guys stepped up like down the stretch. Arden Key stepped up, Samson Ebucom stepped up, DJ Jones stepped up. A lot of times this year, Eric Armstead, there's, you know, good stretches where he played some really damn good football.
Yeah.
It's sad this defensive line in the NFC Championship game didn't get a lot of pressure, but I think that had more to do with them just running out of gas and just being tired. Because the Niners, the last couple games of the season going into the playoffs, they were averaging like 5 sacks a game. So they were putting a hurting on the quarterback. And with their defense being what it is in the secondary, their pass rush means everything. So that NFC Championship game, people say, well, where was the pass rush? Well, dude, that was like their 20th game of the year. So I really don't have any ill will towards them. I think everybody just played their guts out in Green Bay and they just didn't really have, you know, much left. But yeah, A plus for sure. Everybody played amazing this year. I give a lot of credit to Chris Kasarik. I think he's one of the best defensive line coaches in the NFL, and ain't nobody know it, but I think they know it now. I would like to see the Niners address another speed rusher for sure.
Yeah.
Be interesting if the Niners decide to move on from DJ Jones, and the Niners are holding out hope that Javon Kinlaw does something. I'm not the biggest Kinlaw guy. I'm not a big fan of a guy who talks a lot and doesn't perform. I'm old school. I'm all about shutting up and doing your job. When I hear people talk a lot in the media and have like this presence and they act like a tough guy and stuff, and they get mad at the media for labeling them injury prone, but yet they never are playing. You are injury prone. So shut up, play next year. And I'm the first person who will admit if I'm wrong on a guy. I will come on YouTube and I will
Hey, I don't mean to cut you off. Hey, could you excuse me? Hey, could you excuse me for just 1 minute?
Yep.
I'll be right back, man.
No problemo.
All right. Here, hold on 1 second. Oh, no. Don't go off. Hold on, babe.
I'll put you in the background.
All right. Thank you, my man.
Yep. What is up, people? He will be right back. We're going to finish our grades up and finish up this stream. Thanks for anybody that was in here. I know this is kind of a random stream in the off season, so whoever is in there, I thank you very much. It's been kind of a quiet night in the comments, but that's all right. Appreciate everybody that's been in here. Ooh wee. You guys could just look at my ugly mug for the next, I don't know, 2 minutes or so. So I bought the Google Mesh system for my Wi-Fi, and I feel like my Wi-Fi is as good as it's been since I've had a YouTube channel. I don't know if you guys have noticed it in the comments, but yeah, spent a good chunk of change. The unsung hero of our defense is Chris Kasarik, dude. You have no idea. I didn't really think Arden Key and guys like Arden Key and Samson Ebukam were going to really do much. So for him to get stuff out of guys like that, with Bosa being the only real star on this team, I think it's huge. So I'm definitely looking in the draft. I hope they address edge rusher in the draft. You know, there's guys that are in mid rounds and later in the draft who kind of specifically are one thing that you use specifically in pass rush situations. So if the Niners need to go a specialty route and maybe go after a guy that only does one thing really well that you don't have in on base downs and you only have him in on pass rushing downs, then yeah, I would definitely be down for it. All right, everybody. Rich is back. There he is.
Forgive me, man.
It's all right.
I got a German short-haired pointer, and he gets a little weird sometimes when I'm not around.
Oh, I am a cat guy, unfortunately, so I know I'm weird, but whatever.
It's all good. Hey, you know what's funny about that is, man, we got a lot of coyotes around, man, and sorry to cat lovers and stuff, but not just saying you, but we where we moved, we came with a few cats, and man, they kept on coming up missing, man. It was just unfortunate. So
sucks.
I went and rescued a pit bull, and then after my pit bull, I went and got a hunting dog, and they're a weird little mix, but they're cool, man. They love each other to death. So
if dogs weren't so much work, cats are you'd be so lazy with them because I'm lazy.
That's why I just had to run out too.
Dude had to do his business.
It's work, man. Yeah.
So I figured we transition into linebacker land. I know you're going to have some good grades on these because I do too. What's your linebacking core grade looking like?
My grade is a B. It's a A. I didn't put a lot of research on it. It's kind of tough. It's like I think one of my biggest things was, man, I just wanted to see a lot more turnovers. I think our turnover ratio was -4. I think we were toward the bottom on defense, but it was more about the interceptions. We were toward the bottom, on offense and defense, as far as turnovers go, and just like the trenches, winning and losing games, the same can almost be said with turnovers, the turnover battle. And but it was a great year. People say, Fred Warner had a very off year, but I think he had a really solid year. You look at his stats, he didn't get a pick, he only had a half a sack, but he did have 10 tackles for loss, so sometimes there's so many layers to the game, and there's so many ways you can almost say, well, if this didn't happen and this stat don't show, then this. And it's kind of funny how it all works. But, I look at those 10 tackles for loss and say, those could almost be looked at like interceptions. I know I might be kind of contradicting myself, but those could almost be looked at change of possessions. A lot of those times on a lot of those drives, I'm pretty sure those 10 tackles for loss resulted in the punts, you know, or just momentum swings. There's a lot of stuff not in stats and not on paper that kind of just go unnoticed. And, Al, what a huge, how huge was he to step up and have, he had 9 tackles for loss, 101 tackles, I think 2 sacks, 1 interception. He played amazing, man. It was great to see him step in for Greenlaw. And Greenlaw, the time that he is in there, he's a beast as well. It's just, it feels like we really do a great job. I'm not exactly sure who our linebacker coach is, but it seems like he's doing a great job. I probably could have given, their grade even higher than that, for sure. And then I think it was it Marcel Harris? I believe the game I went to, the Texan game. I believe he was playing some linebacker, if I remember it right, and hey, it feels like whoever we had in there, they were doing a great job. I know it doesn't hurt, when you have an A++, defensive line, it might make it a little easier, but I mean, hey, they did a great job for sure.
It's weird. I have a conflicted grade. I have an A based on the guys we have with Greenlaw, Aziz Al-Shaair, and Fred Warner. But if I had to give it a grade based on performance, I'd probably give it a B-, mainly because, Dre wasn't there all year. He was hurt majority of the year. And like you said, he had a down year, Fred Warner. So, and they didn't cause a lot of turnovers. So B- based on performance and, having to have guys like Hufanga come in or guys like Marcel Harris come in or Flanagan Foles come in.
Yeah.
But when you look at this linebacker core, if you were to put them on Madden or like on a magazine or something, they're one of the best, if not the best in the league, man. I mean, Aziz Al-Shaair, undrafted free agent, had some injury history, comes into the league. Dude, he is nasty good. Dre Greenlaw, he's a little bit of an unhinged guy. You gotta kind of pull the reins back on him a little bit or smack him around or something. But a lot of talk that he might be a trade piece this offseason. So that'll be interesting. But like if I had to just look at the linebacking core based on just like a outside perspective without watching the games, I'd probably say A. But based on performance and just, like you said, just not a lot of no turnovers, just a lot of, I don't know. It was really Warner and a whole lot of, Warner and Aziz, and that was pretty much it. And, guys get hurt, guys are nicked up. So it'd be interesting to see how they address it this year. If Greenlaw moves on and they draft somebody else, I wish they could have kept Jonas Griffith in the in training camp and not traded him to Denver, but they did. I thought he played really well. I was like, who is this guy? So, yeah, B- for performance, A for just the names and how they look on paper, I guess. So, yeah, B- would be my grade as far as performance goes. I guess we go transition into the corners. Not something I really like talking about because I'm not real keen on this season with cornerback play. So what was your cornerback grade for the 49ers this year?
I'm a C+. I got a C+. Yeah, it was a man. I mean, this whole season was a roller coaster, man, and we definitely seen it with the cornerbacks.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like the cornerbacks were one of the biggest parts of it being a roller coaster.
Oh yeah.
And coming into this season, I can't remember when I said it, how I said it. I'm pretty sure one of my first videos I said, and I might have never even put it on YouTube, but I said those were my 2 biggest concerns was injury to the quarterback and injury to the cornerback. I feel like those are just 2 of the positions that are the hardest to come when it comes to injury. I feel like when a running back goes down, it's kind of easy to plug someone in and at least kind of stay up with the production, and a lot of other positions on the team. I feel like once you kind of lose when there's a big drop off on the cornerback position, I feel like the opposite team, the opposition is licking their chops. And that's just a very easy place to immediately attack and convert. I'm having flashbacks of watching Ryan Fitzpatrick, even though that was a year or two ago. I'm having flashbacks of Colt McCoy, Dyson, just kind of average quarterbacks that when they smell a weakness, man, they will attack it and they will take advantage, and it will result in losses. And but I gave Mosley an A. For to give up 0 touchdowns. I know he didn't. I know he didn't have a lot of picks, I know, but you give up 0 touchdowns. Hey, props to you, man. Before knowing that, I was like, mostly he's all right. He's good. Like he's a real, but I feel like we've always had really good cornerbacks, but just I would love to see someone great. I would love to see an all-pro safety. I don't care what position it is. I don't care what side of the cornerback, free safety, strong safety. It would just be awesome to see us have an all-pro great player. Because I feel like Thomas, I feel like he did a great job. Even in the beginning, when he was getting beat, he was always in position. Like, of course, a rookie's not going to just, be the man coming in. So I thought he did great. I didn't see him missing assignments and just getting flat out burnt. He was in position. It's like it's like there were receivers making great catches over him. So he was this close of going from getting beat or he could have easily flipped that into an interception. So that's why I got a lot of praise for Thomas. And Ward, he did a very solid job. I wish I could have seen Ward do what he did versus the Rams the first matchup. I wish I could have seen a lot more of that same kind of fire, because he owned the Rams in that first matchup. Right. And then, it kind of, that first game versus the Rams, I was like, okay, here we go. We're going to get back into our turnover ways. And it just kind of, it was almost like that one moment. And then Tart, he played really solid, throughout the year. I hate to have the lasting memory of him. And I'm not pick. Yep. I hate that. It's like, man, he's very solid. So it's kind of hard. I gave him, the C+, and it's kind of hard to, with our money and everything. I would love to see just an all-pro player come there, but it's looking like that's just not what we're doing in the way we build things. So I think if we were to go out and grab anybody, I think it would be similar to the same skill level as a Tart, to where it's going to be hard to replace one of these guys and bring someone way, way better in. But hey, I would love to see, we'll see what happens.
Grading the defense or the defensive backs as a whole, because that's what you did. So I'm going to do the same thing. C-. I feel like, planning to have Verrett be your starter and not really planning on anything past that was a huge misstep this year. So I'm on the Niners front office for that. Yeah. You don't just say, hey, Verrett's our guy. He's our number one corner with that kind of injury history. So that was a big thing for me. I thought Ambry Thomas, like you said, he struggled here and there. He got better. He has a lot of work to do. He needs to get stronger. He needs to figure out how to attack the ball at its highest point. I thought Deommodore Lenoir at times, when they had him in, he struggled mightily. He made some plays, but he struggled too. They were both rookies. They looked like it. I don't ever want to see what's his name, his number, Josh Norman on this team ever again. Cannot stand him. Do not like him. As Coach Singletary says, can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want him on this team. Dante Johnson needs to go, man. I don't understand this obsession with Dante Johnson. Get him out of here. You're right, though. We put such a low value on our defensive backs. It's just annoying that like, I understand the defense. You build your defense from the defensive line out, but I don't know, man. Well, I hope maybe they'll surprise us and invest a little money in the secondary this year, but I wouldn't hold my breath. So,
Man, I wanted us. There's been a few. I can't remember all the names, but just one guy that pops out. I wanted us to draft Joe Hayden, really, really bad. There's always someone in the draft. Like this last year after Trey Lance, I was like, hey, go get Elijah Molden. I don't know what kind of year Elijah Molden wound up having, what kind of player he's going to turn into. But, there are some guys out there. Chris, I haven't done a lot of research on Chris Harris Jr.
There's a lot of older corners.
Yeah, but hey,
like
I would
Gilmore.
We'll see, man. I would love to see us. There was a lot of talk about Asante Samuel Jr.
We were close, but no.
Naylor was huge on, who was it? J.C. Horn, I believe his name was.
Mm-hmm.
You would love to see us just grab one of those guys 1 year.
Just one time. Let's get like our Dion or our Rod Woodson just once.
One time. Come on now.
Me and my nephew have this thing because my nephew's about to be 27. He's a 49ers fan. He thinks that when we had the Bosa pick, me and him are like, don't overthink it. That's the thing with the Niners. Sometimes they try to overthink everything. Like, we're going to draft this guy at fullback and convert him to a linebacker. It's like, no, draft the linebacker or draft the defensive lineman if you need him. So like the Bosa pick, I remember me and him sweating. Like, what if they don't take him? What if they take that dude that the Jets ended up taking? That defensive tackle who nobody's heard of since he's been drafted. And they actually drafted Bosa. So we were like, same thing with Trey Lance. When Trey Lance got picked, I remember my nephew calling me and be like, we got him. I was like, right. I thought we were going to get Mac Jones. So, I mean, overall, go ahead.
I had a video of my reaction, man. Yeah, I put all the chips in on, that's why I even created a YouTube channel. Was like, hey, man, I done seen this, miss out time and time and time again. Do not do it again. So yeah, I was super juiced up. I that was like a little mini Super Bowl for me right there when we drafted him. So
right, me and my brother was standing there when we drafted Trey Lance, and he high-fived me because he knew that I wanted him. I was like, there you go. I was like, what? I didn't know. I thought it was going to be freaking Mac Jones, the way they were talking up Mac Jones like he was the second coming.
And now I remember because I'm starting to picture it, even though I got the video posted up, but like during the season when we make some just spectacular plays or crucial moments, man, I always pull out the Ken Norton Jr. and I'll start doing some straight air uppercuts, man. That's like when I get the happiest, I'm going to pull out that Ken Norton Jr.
When he used to punish the goalpost.
Yeah, man. And, there's boxing in my family history, and the same with Ken Norton Jr. His father was a heavyweight champ. So, there's a reason for it. And, yeah, man. So I've always just, that's what I did when we drafted Trey Lance. I think it started with a yes, like a very, very aggressive yes. And then it turned into the Ken Norton, man.
I was just overall in a good mood after that. I'm like, I don't care what we pick up the rest of this draft.
Yeah.
The fact that like we're kind of coming into the new age with the quarterbacks and quarterbacks that can move and quarterbacks that are, more than one dimensional and the fact that Kyle Shanahan signed off on it, whether he did it by force or whatever, it doesn't matter. Trey Lance is a quarterback. So like I said, I like to enjoy the offseason for about 2 weeks, let myself decompress. Because I'm kind of depressed that we didn't, are not in the Super Bowl. And then as soon as like free agency and the draft come around, I start to get remotivated again. And I start getting back on that, like, next year. And like, I every year it's the same thing. Like I get heartbroken. I don't want to talk about football. And then the combine starts or, and then free agency and the draft. And all of a sudden the juices, like you said, they come flowing again. And I'm ready for next year. And, let's not rush it though, because I want my summer, because I live in New York, so it's cold right now. So let me enjoy my summer for a little bit. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to next season for sure. But go ahead.
I'm going to be blunt and honest, man. This might be – I was obviously heartbroken. Like, I did a live right after and everything.
Yeah, me too. Mine was horrible.
But to be super blunt, man, I was like – I went through a couple of different waves where I was heartbroken and then so relieved. Like, thank you, man. Hey, hate me if you want, not you, but anybody else. But thank God Jimmy is gone. We have Trey Lance. Oh man, we should have won this Super Bowl. And then it turned into, oh, hey, you know what? I'm not going to have to see all the hate amongst the fans. It's going to be straight up Trey. We're a clean slate, a breath of fresh air. Man, it sucks we didn't get there. And then it kind of came over me like, hey, maybe Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't supposed to be the quarterback when we won a Super Bowl. For whatever reason.
I've had that same mindset too.
For whatever reason, I'm not just trying to be an optimistic fan of the 49ers. I've done my due diligence on researching, people close to Trey Lance and, just even watching his own mannerisms with my own eyes, like, just it really, really feels like he's going to be that real, like, just underdog leader that wants it more than anybody. He's going to do whatever it takes to get there. And then on top of it, he's got the actual physical talents on top of his brilliant mind and his heart. And you mix a brilliant mind with a big heart and physically gifted as well. And you're going to be special. You have the potential to be a superstar, man. So I'm so juiced up to see what happens, man. I cannot wait.
I'll say this before we wrap it up, but I feel like we're going to see a different Trey next year. I feel like, and I don't mean like as he's a really good dude. And he like you said, he's a man of faith. He's just an overall nice guy, community guy. But I feel like now that when he becomes a starter, I think you're going to just see that competitive fighter that everybody has. Like,
hey,
when he gets pumped up or if he's pissed, I want to see all of it. I want to see him get hot if he misses a throw or something. You know what I mean? I like all of it.
I think there's one thing that gets confused about Christianity sometimes is not just Christianity, but faith and everything, that there's a lot of fire on the flip side. It's not just, like I'm a big man of, I don't like to say religion because it ain't about religion to me, but there's a lot of fire that does come with, man, I'm trying to be almost careful with my words, but it's, there's a lot of passion and there's a lot of, once upon a time, Jesus was flipping tables. There's some savage moments that people don't like to talk about. A lot of times it's talked about just the love or the grace and the mercy, but there are some savage moments that come out, out of righteousness, man. So I think, like you said, he's definitely going to deliver some fire.
I feel like just because people have faith or are, have a certain whatever religion or, some sort of thing in their life like that, they're not all pushovers. I mean, there comes a place and a time to speak up. It's about how you do it. And it's about what kind of example you show to people who maybe are of the same faith. Like, oh, that's how they act when they get mad. You can be mad. You can be passionate. You can be angry. And still believe in all the same stuff. You just, there's always a place and time for everything. And there's a way to do it and be passionate, but at the same time, come off respectful and level-headed. That's something I struggle with. I have a temper. I'm an Irish-Italian person, and I struggle with like my rage sometimes. I get really hot about stuff. So listen, man, it's all combined. It's all together. It's all wound up into the same ball. So I'm just stoked for next season, even though we have to wait like 7 months. So, any last thoughts you want to share, man, before we get this thing, we turn this thing off?
I don't know. I'm still kind of laughing about the Joe Montana thing. And
Me too.
Hopefully, it makes for good shows. We got Joe Montana and Tom Brady, and we're gonna have a gang of stuff to talk about this whole off season. And hey, man, hopefully we come together again, man. Maybe we could do some stuff reminiscing about some of the 49er greats, or if you have any ideas on things, I would love to. Do this again, or
I'll go on your channel. I don't care.
Hey, like I said, man, I never really one thing about me, man, it's not nobody in particular, but I've had trouble in my life just isolating.
Me too.
So there's not, I'm still learning all this stuff. All this stuff is a learning process. Even
Yep.
reaching out to people is
Me too.
kind of a process for me. So, hopefully I continue to grow into this and continue to get comfortable and continue to, build relationship with, some great 49er dudes, man. That's what I'll call it right now. I appreciate you. I think the first time I ever seen you was on Jay in the Bay or something like that. I can't exactly remember, but I've always appreciated, what you bring to the 49ers and what you bring to your show. So, it's all good, man. I'm just excited, man, to be, you know, um, my oldest brother, he used to always think I would wind up. He really believed I might be able to play football. That was my number one dream, man. I wanted to be Jerry Rice when I was a kid. Like literally, I had my 49er football no matter where I went, to the grocery store. I was that kind of kid. Like I will play catch anywhere. I will dive on concrete. Uh, I was that kind of kid, but my brother, he would always be blown away, like with my knowledge of football, even at 6 and 7 years old. And he'd be like, dude, you're going to be like an announcer or a broadcaster or coach one day or something, dude. Like, hey, just don't ever stop. And there were a lot of years where, I didn't make the best choices and I went off and did some crazy stuff. And, you know, I'm just glad I kind of stepped out of my own way and actually gave this thing a shot, because I love it. And, I kind of kept it all to myself for a long time. And, so I'm just proud to be doing it, proud to be connected with guys like you for sure, man. So I appreciate it, to say the least.
I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you stepping outside that thing because I have anxiety really bad.
Yep.
It's weird. I can be really social, but also really recluse.
Same.
If I put myself out there for a while, I feel tired after and I have to kind of like withdraw. So I've been out of work since December. I had a really bad anxiety attack and was doing a job that was really, really, really putting me in a lot of physical situation. Like I was not feeling physically right.
Yeah.
So I've been taking time out of work for a while. And I don't want to go on YouTube because I want to look like, oh, he's not working, but he's on YouTube. But this is cathartic for me. This is helpful for me to stay in contact with human beings. And why not stay in contact with people that love the same team as I do? I'll say 98% of 49er YouTube is healthy. There's always the ones that just, I don't know. Some people are just out there, man. Everybody's got their own thing going on in their life. So I'm all about staying away from toxic stuff. And for the most part, it's been really great. Like I said, Jay in the Bay, I know I met him early on. He used to be in my comments all the time. And then I'm like, I looked one time and I'm like, this dude has his own channel. And like, I started watching his channel. With you were in the comments one time. And then I seen your name pop up on someone else's channel. Like, huh? So of course I do my thing. And then I'm like, okay, I like this dude. He's cool. Like you just have a cool vibe. Like we're all different. We all have a different level of like how we do this. Some people are like, film junkies. They're trying to become people in the media, like, Jason Aponte, guys like, Jesse himself. And then there's like the everyday guy like me, who's just a dude, I don't know everything. I don't watch film. There's certain things I just don't know, but I'll always have people on here that know more than me. And I'll always tell people, go to their channel. Like I'm not like in this thing as a competition. I've kind of reached where I never thought I would reach with my channel. So I'm kind of, I wouldn't say content, but I'm okay with it. Like I feel good with it. For a while, I was like, I don't know. There's so many better people, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm just at a point now where with a person who deals with anxiety as much as I do, I'm actually in a good place. So I welcome you coming on for sure. And I definitely want to do this again sooner than later.
We are super, super similar, man. It's like, sometimes I stress myself out because I don't know all the zone reads and schemes. And this is the third level of what this person should have been doing on this and that. And I'm kind of like, man.
Yeah, I get discouraged.
But one thing when I came in, I knew there was one thing that I definitely wanted to bring to the table, and that was heart.
Yep.
Heart. I mean, this might sound a little crazy and I'll get personal, but I'm born on Valentine's Day and
That's
My
interesting.
my great great grandfather is also born on Valentine's Day, and my great grandfather is born on Valentine's Day. Man, they escaped the Holocaust and migrated over to Connecticut, and they were both
Wow.
able to fight in World War One and World War Two. And just the chances of on the direct bloodline being able to be on Valentine's Day, my mom always kind of looked at me like I was a little special just for that. But then I just figured this out 2 years ago. My whole father's side never even knew I existed until 2 years ago. And then I got a bomb dropped on me on all the similarities of just the history of my whole dad's side. I was kind of like blown away, man, to say the least. But I've always had a big heart. I've always truly cared about people,
Me too.
regardless of being from a tough town like Vallejo, California, where a lot of people think, it's about the hyphy movement and, kind of just, if you come from there, you're probably from the gutter. It definitely put a little chip on my shoulder, but I just love to treat people with respect, be decent. Um, and so that's an element I like to bring is just that heart, man. You know, it's weird because I feel like when I was a kid, I used to love stats. Like, I mean, I was
Me too.
relentless with stats. I like to use stats more about history of the NFL more than to dictate what I think could possibly happen, so to say. And it's a trip. I stopped work too at around December, but in a different way. Um, like I said, I think I might have said earlier, my daughter, she had a liver transplant when she was a baby. Now she's 10 years old. She's doing absolutely beautiful.
That's
Like
awesome.
she has no
Bless you,
complications.
man.
No, it was at Stanford University. So props to Stanford.
Right.
Hey, we were there for 8 months. It was literally like a John Q movie. I don't know if you ever seen John Q with Denzel Washington,
Mm-mm.
but it was like a real life movie. She got saved. The media was involved. It was a big story. And by the grace of God, she got her life saved. And but I have to play my life a little conservative as far as, at my job, a lot of COVID cases started coming. So I had to stop, because her immune system is lower. So, you know, like my other daughter, she could get sick and be healthy within 2 days. My daughter with the liver transplant, she gets sick. She sometimes won't get better for a month. So just with this COVID world and everything, we just got to play things a lot more safe. So I try to work from home the best way I can until the weather gets warmer and that stuff dies down a little bit. So it's a battle, man. There's a lot of different battles of life, man. So I feel like we have a lot of similarities, though, for sure.
So I feel like life, you get out of things what you put in. If you're a good person, or at least try to be a good person all the time, you'll cultivate some really healthy relationships. Also, when you're a good person, you can cultivate some toxic relationships with people that like to take advantage of you. I've been taken advantage of in my life a lot, financially, by friends, by women, and but I'm not going to change being a nice guy. I mean, I'm very, I don't
Yeah.
trust as much as I used to. I'm very I study. My dad was really good. He could read people, man, and it was weird. People thought like, "Oh, your dad's a hater." I'm like, "No, my dad, he just could read people. He would tell me like, this dude's no good. He's just using you." Or this relative of mine, he speaks out of both sides of his face. You got to watch him. And then, sure enough, my dad passes away years later. He's 2013, and I've turned into my dad. I've kind of become him. We used to butt heads a lot. We analyze people and we're like, yeah, this person's out to get me. Like, I can pick it up on it now. It's weird. So, like I said, you get in what you put out, what you put out, you get back. But uh, yeah, I'm a passionate individual, just like you. I believe in certain things, just like you. I don't like to push it on people. Um, I'm trying to get good with it, balance my life out right now. This YouTube thing is great. I like the camaraderie. I like the fellowship of just hanging out with other people that like the same stuff and the positivity. But yeah, it's a struggle for me too. Like after I get off here, I'll be like, whoa, I don't want to do another one of these things. And then someone will talk to me and I'll be like, all right, let's do it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's been fun, bro. I'll definitely stay in contact with you. I'll probably talk to you right after the stream ends just to see when next time we can collaborate with everything. But everybody you came in here, thank you so much. It's been kind of a quiet stream tonight, but that's all right because we were doing a lot of talking. Everybody else, if anything else drops of any news or of any importance, I'll be able to get you guys that news. I got Celts Chronicles, all his info. I got his, I didn't put his Instagram in, but I put his Twitter handle and his YouTube channel handle in the description. So definitely go check him out, support him. You'll like his delivery, the way he is on here. He's the same way on his channel, man. He's an easy listen. Like I said, a lot of people, there's people that like to do a lot of funny stuff on camera and do all like an acting job. Dude's as real as you can be, and I like it. So I'm definitely going to watch your stuff too. I'm going to support you. I appreciate you coming on. And till next time, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you on the flip side. I don't know when that flip side is going to be, but I'll try to be on sooner than later. All right, buddy. Take care. See you.